Alright folks, Steve here, aka Chichuki, for GamerHub.tv. Play NYC was last weekend, and I was able to cover it for GamerHub, and the indie game industry has never been better. And I'm going to give you guys some recap. Recap show. It's a recap show. Got my Play NYC t-shirt on that I bought. And let's get right into it. Let's see, what to start with. I'm going to start with the first game I saw. It was called Mr. Mart. I'm going to read the card. Enter the world of Mr. Mart, where all of the customers are returning their purchases. Slam their items into the bin and punch annoying customers. This is a VR game. It's on, I believe it's on Steam right now. Here's the back of the card. And it's a VR game. It's pretty fun. The controls are sort of loose right now for a VR game, but I mean they're indie games from indie developers in the New York area for Play NYC. So, but beggars can't be choosers. You take what you can get. This is pretty fun. I mean, get some frustration out. Pow, pow, pow. But it was pretty cool. Right now there's only one level, but you grab the items at the beginning, you put them in the bin, right in front of the register, and then you grab the items with the other hand, because you have both controllers, and then you punch, and you grab them, and then you put them in the bin. Pretty self-explanatory. Then you gotta watch out for your stress levels, because the minute your stress level gets pretty high in the game, then that's when the game ends, if it gets pretty high. For Studio 217, let's see, can you see that? I don't know if it's going to be in focus, but at Studio 217, Studio_217 is their Twitter, www.studio217games.com. Follow them, check them out. This game's pretty cool. That was pretty cool. Okay. Next up, game called Kung Fu Kickball. Show off some pins that I got as well. Kung Fu Kickball comes from Whale Food Games. Right? Whale Food Games. Yep. Here are the pins I got. See if you can see that. Horiyo! And Horiyo! Kung Fu Kickball, pretty self-explanatory. It's kind of like a duel game. Like duel is in terms of fighting, where you play team-based, where you fight, and you're trying to kick the ball into the goal. It's kind of like soccer. It's a lot of mini game plays, like a kind of few mini games that I've played before. Kind of like Oh My Godheads, where you're trying to score points, where you can beat the shit out of each other and score points. We played 2-on-2 during the demo. Where you can try to kick ball into the Shaolin Bell on the top. You can also kick your opponent into the goal, into the bell, score points. We didn't win our game, my team, because the controls are a little tough to get used to at the beginning, but after you get used to them, that's pretty fun. That was pretty fun. I would recommend Kung Fu Kickball, but I also recommend Mr. Mart. Alright, let's see. Next up, it's a platformer. It's called Bacon Man. Who doesn't love bacon? I mean, I look like a guy who likes bacon. Bacon Man is a platformer. We were playing it on the Switch. Bacon Man An Adventure. It's going to be out, I believe, on PS4, Xbox, and Switch. Please don't hold me to that. We only were able to play the first level, playthrough, but it's a platformer. The first level is you need to break Bacon Man out of prison. But it was pretty cool. Like I said, a lot of these indie games, I mean, they're hit or miss. A lot of the games I played were fun, self-explanatory premise, but they're pretty cool. The controls for Bacon Man, I mean, they're like hack and slash, beat 'em up, platforming style, old school platformers. The controls could be tightened up a little bit, but I'm not gonna kill him for it yet because it was just it looked like one of the early builds of the game. But using bacon to fight. Who doesn't like that? Let's see. Next up is a JRPG. It's called The Great Gaias. I don't know if you can see that there. Here is the next one. Oh, sorry. The Bacon Man was from... I will get back to that. Let me just... One sec. I can get who that was from. Oh, that's right. He didn't have the stamp for at the show. They had a scavenger hunt where you could get stamps for stuff. But the Great Guys is from horizonsend.com. Horizons End Games. It's at Horizon End Gaming. It's a JRPG. You can see the back. Hopefully you can read that. This was a really cool JRPG. It looked like a lot of time went into this demo. The special attacks and boss battle was really cool. It plays just like a traditional JRPG. That was really cool. You're gonna put a lot of time into this one. It looks like it's available on Steam now, I believe. I don't. Does it say what other systems it's coming out for right now? I guess what it says on the back. A mysterious contract from the royal family sparks the interest of an organized band of sellswords. Sorry. What seems like a normal job quickly spirals into a whirlwind of betrayal and tragedy, thrusting a young rogue and his unlikely companions into the middle of an ancient prophecy. So that sounds pretty cool. Pretty cool. I mean, JRPGs are making a comeback in the industry. Let's see what else did it say on the card. I mean, that was really cool. I mean, the booth was jumping pretty much the whole time I was there. So I hit it late. Pretty much a traditional Japanese JRPG. Special attacks, and it reminds me of, like they said, the old school Final Fantasy games, Final Fantasy 5 or 6, I think they said. I also felt that way too. Like with the old school looking graphics on top of traditional Super Nintendo graphics, which is pretty cool. That was fun. Let's see, what else? Next up was a game called Jelly Bomber, which is pretty much just Dr. Mario, only faster and tougher. You can pretty much, it is Dr. Mario, but they added more to it and made it much tougher. Well, things happen even faster than in Dr. Mario. When you clear the board, it doesn't end. Things happen. Each character has a special power, which you power up with fruitless combos and from poppin' apricots. Destroy all those fruits with, let me rephrase that. When you clear the board, it does end, but things get tougher the further you go along. Rotate bombs to create 4 in a row of the color like that. Like that. So basically it's like Dr. Mario, which is what their selling point was. But their selling point was Dr. Mario pretty much on speed, much faster, which is a good selling point. I'm not really into Dr. Mario too much, and Tetris I hate. I can't stand Tetris. But if you're into that, check that out. What else? Okay, I got 2 games here that are kind of like the same company. This is from a company called Simple Machine. They make the Pop the Lock game, and it was called Tweet Star, where self-explanatory. Basically, you download the app and the game, and you unscramble tweets. Now, the tweet it could be from a group of topics, and it could be anything, and it could be really hard to tell. And then the best part is your tweet could show up on there. And when I was playing it, I was like, oh God, could my tweet show up on there? Because it was like from school, from sports to anything. And I was like, oh my God, my tweet could show up on here. And then I threw this group in with this as well. It's called Aviv. I apologize if I pronounce that wrong. Aviv Learning. They had vocab mare, and then there was and then math mare, or was another game I believe that I played. And it's basically kind of like The Sims, where you're running a town, but you answer math questions and vocabulary questions in the game, and the better you do, the better your town and your people do based on your questions, on the answers to your questions. Let's just say I did a little better on the vocabulary than the math. And since it was the basic build, the questions repeated themselves. So later on in the game, when you get the full build, if you decide to buy it or download it, you should get the full version and get more questions. Okay, there were a lot of games there, but I only played a few. Next up is a game called Dog Fight from Petrichor Games. This game is basically reminds me of a Mario Party minigame where you fly a dog in a plane. Can hamsters fly planes? Yes, Bart Simpson, they can. You fly a dog in a plane, and you basically are trying to win the dogfight. When I was playing, I don't know if I was playing somebody who actually was one of the developers of the game, but he was kicking our ass, which is really fair to show off the game. But it was self-explanatory flying game. Controls weren't great. The lock-on was a little But initial build, like I said, I'm not going to kill them on it. But maybe in a later build it'll be better. But the lock-on was good. It was hard to tell who was winning and who you were even supposed to shoot at, because a lot of the targets were a little further away. And then when you started, you like were loaded on top of each other, which was not fair. But whatever. And that was Dogfight. We're rounding down. We got three more developers here. This is a developer called The Sheep's Meow. We played 2 games from them. One was called Exposure. Not Exposure. And I believe I played that on Xbox One. That's a game where you need to blend in to the background in different colors. Black and white, I believe, are the only 2 colors in the game. And then you're trying to avoid getting hit by things, which is interesting. The back of the business card is kind of like, I don't know if you can see that. I'll hold that up. Oh, there you go. You can see that. Kind of like how the game looked. You're blending into the different colors and collecting things. I believe they were eggs to collect to get more points in the game. You want to do that. But you need to camouflage yourself. Black blends into black, white blends into white. That's self-explanatory. To do that. And then the more points you get, the better you do. Then the other game they had was called Nobody Home, which was kind of like an exploration game mixed in with a platformer, where you were trying to collect cake and candy in a house while not getting hit by like this creeper-looking guy in a house. And that was it. But you had different controls. You could long jump, and it felt like, I believe at the end of the demo, you find out you were like a ghost of one of the guys that you were trying not to touch in the game. But that was a little hard to figure out. But it was still pretty cool. Okay. Next up is a game designer named Isla Myers. Here's her card. His Isla, I believe, is a female girl. I apologize. Yeah, Isla Myers, I hope is. If not, I'm the. You know what? I'm gonna stop. Uh, but the games were Juggle Panic and Just One Boss. They were two pretty. Juggle Panic was a pretty cool game where you can throw your ball to your opponent, and then there were other various variables in the game where you try to keep your opponent from catching the ball. Where one in the dark was the dark, and then another one was the in the brightness, in the bright time. Shit, I lost my train of thought here. 1 second, let me try to start over with that thought. Juggle Panic. I want to say Jungle Panic. Juggle is the word I'm trying to find. Juggle Panic. You're playing against your opponent. Throw the ball in the air. One was speed up and slow down. That was one variable. Another variable, it was pitch black, where your opponent couldn't see anything. That was interesting. I beat my opponent every time with that. And another game they had was just what was it called? Just One Boss, which looked easy, but it was really hard. Because the boss was the only part of the game, and it was really hard. Controls were easy, but the demo made it really tough. Because you start out easy, and then you get split up into two characters, and then the controls get switched around, and it was like nuts, crazy. So I recommend both of those. You can go to, let me show this up because the hold up the card. Come on, focus. Hopefully you can read that because the games are on the website. All right, and lastly was a game called Way of Ray, I believe. 1 sec, I want to double check the name of that. Sorry, 1 sec. I gotta make sure I get the right one. Let me just check. Where is it? Yes, Way of Ray. And you play as that little dude on the bottom of the card. And it was a little platforming puzzle game where you need to switch colors of that guy right there in a cave to protrude the cave. And one part of the cave, it's like a multi-leveled cave, and then you switch colors in the cave where you need to switch colors of Ray. I hope that thing is Ray. And you switch, one time you're pink or purple in the beginning, and then you can go up a elevator and at the start, and then you can not be able to because you need to transform yourself into a blue color, and then you can go through doors and go down another elevator, and after that you need to switch to pink and things like that. So it adds a puzzle element to it. And then once you get to the end of the level, that's it. Well, obviously, but it adds a puzzle element to it by being able to switch colors through the cave. And that was it. There were a lot of other games there because NYC was at the Hammerstein Ballroom in the Manhattan Center this year. There were a lot of games there. There was one game I played that was a running game where you played as Mario and Princess, where you just ran on the NES running mat, and you stepped onto another mat and you stepped off to another mat and you ran. And to get through, because it was like the average person walking in New York City was like taking 128 steps or kilometers per minute or something like that, which was interesting to see what indie how the indie developer is going to take that extra mile now, and, to just go out of their comfort zone, because I mean that's pretty one of the few ways indie developers are going to get noticed if they go is to go out of their zone. But like I said in a tweet earlier in the week, the indie scene has never been stronger. Play NYC is alive and well. This was year 2. I think it's going to be. I feel like they need to do one or two things better. Like give the. I wouldn't mind a longer media session during the show, as well. I know it's for the fans and everything. It's not a media thing. I understand that, but I feel like they also need to make more room for the booths, like on the upper levels, the second and third floor, because there's not really a whole lot of room to get through and things like that. If they made more room, it wouldn't be that hard to do. And that's it. But I'd like to thank Play NYC for inviting me, for allowing me to have media clearance, and for putting on a great show. Let's do it again next year. Maybe. I mean, it was right during my birthday weekend too, so maybe move it back a week, so I can celebrate my birthday first, But let's do it again. Play NYC. The whole gang should be proud. You put on a good show, and then let's go from there. It was really good. I enjoyed it. And finally, the indie scene, like I said, should be proud. It's never been stronger, and it should be interesting to see what games from here come out in the upcoming year.